Hey everybody, how you guys doing? Let's go. We got some updates here on AMC and the dilution. I'm gonna let some people jump in here real quick. We got some updates on GDP. Rates are now going back up, and this is this is what I was talking about. There's gonna be zero rate cuts. It's gonna get a lot worse here, especially when this commercial real estate starts coming as well. But we'll get into a lot of different things here, but I'm gonna wait 1 second, let some people jump in here, just because I want a lot of people to get this update on the dilution here and what I think is gonna happen now with AMC and with the stock price here for a little bit, because I think we all thought that big drop in the price action was us dumping a lot of shares, and it turns out that that's not the case. So I'm just gonna wait, let everybody jump in. Let's just get started. Here we got almost 200 people. We'll get started here. Everyone else can restart the video here. So, first thing I want to do, we'll look at the box office. We're at 336 million. We're going to end, like I said here, about 400 million, 415, 420-ish. I still see us about 2.2, 2.3 here for this quarter. Like I said, next month it starts to become amazing for movies and so on. Next year, 2025. Again, we should be profitable every single quarter, so I'm not really worried about AMC's future here at all. But we're doing a couple more things here, get new revenue. They're adding new artisan pizzas and donuts to the menu. I know a lot of people are like, who cares? But again, this is the way, this is their most profitable way of, source of income here is food and beverage. So this does all add up and add up and add up. But one of the things that, so they're also upgrading their distribution. Remember, next year we have Roblox in 2025. They also did a hire here, and they want to, start massing out into movies as well and independent films. So, again, distribution should be a massive thing going forward for AMC, a huge revenue boost. I wish we would have got, he said all the stuff was ringing off the hooks. I was expecting a lot more news from their distribution this year, but hopefully this, starts to lead to a lot of good things throughout the rest of this year. Another thing that's coming is AMC The Shop. So we're partnering with Snow Commerce. This was my idea is a very good move here. The last company that we had actually had a couple problems with them. Snow Commerce works with tons of people. They work with HBO, Peacock. They work with the NBA. They work with tons and tons and tons of big name people. HBO, Paramount, Warner Brothers. They work with tons and tons of people. So we're going to upgrade our shop. And one of the things Adam Aaron talked about was upgrading merchandise. So this could be, a giant step towards doing that as well. So again, more revenue streams, more revenue streams, more revenue streams. This is exactly what we need to keep doing. But one of the things here I wanted to give everybody an update on. So we got news on the dilution, and it wasn't exactly what I thought was going on. So this is what I believe happened with AMC's price the last couple weeks and everything going on since the dilution news. So if you guys look at this, it actually tells you that AMC, and as of April 11th, there's 276 million shares, 300. So what this tells us actually is that they only sold in the first 11 days, 10 days there, 13 million shares. So if you go back and look at the first 4 days and you take out the volume of those days and do 10%, it basically equals out to 13 million shares. So what I'm assuming now with AMC is if you look at the price, so what I'm believing is happening is we came out with that dilution news. It was at 370. And as we went over and over and over, shorts were attacking it. The percentage was skyrocketing. And we were selling in these first couple days. Well, then after that point, it reached about $3. As we all did the math before, we didn't want to sell below $3. So what that means is you have to assume now for these next couple days, we weren't selling. We didn't sell here. We never sold any of this. And we didn't sell it until it hit its bottom at 246. Now, when it hit its bottom at 246, if you look at these last couple days' volumes, it's peaked up. Well, what I believe happened is somebody attacked it, dropped it down to about 246, bought back some of their position. I'm not saying everyone, oh my God, they covered. Who cares if one person did? somebody could have went and took some profits. Other shorts could have something where people were buying this back. And now we're back to here. And I do not believe dilution's done. And by looking at this data and looking at how they were doing the dilution in their first couple days, I don't think I don't really know. Maybe they were selling in this low area, but I doubt it. It made no sense. They would have had to change the terms and everything. So I don't believe that AMC is even close to done with that dilution. So do what you want with that. Play it the way, but I believe that we're going to be bouncing around in this area for a while. Maybe Adam Aaron. Here's the thing. I thought that we were going to do this giant capital raise. Even he talked about it in his tweet. Let's do a capital raise. Let's go ahead and refinance this debt. And maybe, he didn't renew the credit facility. Then he updated it to where, all right, if we need it, we can go ahead and reopen it back up. So it's there just in case. But it's not technically open right now. So, everything was looking at financial statement was getting better. Like I said, deferred rent should be paid off in the next quarter or two. That's another expense, which is a big expense. It's like $25 million, $30 million a quarter. It's a big expense. Paying off that credit facility, this is stuff, again, in 2025 we're not doing. These are expenses in the 30, 40 million range. It's a big deal. But, again, it's hard to say where we're at now with dilution without getting another update. But by reading this and seeing all right, they didn't. Last one, they front-loaded. And I thought that's what they were going to do again. But it looks like they ended up, like I said, if you're only selling $13 million in the first 10 days there, and if you look at the price action and their agreements, they can't be selling at these bottom ranges. So at this point, like I said, we're back above where they can. I expect AMC's price to bounce around this area still. Maybe it gets into the 350s, 360s, and it could drop back down through, So like I said, I want us all to play this correctly throughout going out the right ways. When they can give us updates, when you can get some numbers, well, you can kind of go off some data instead of us just going in the wind. But the way that it looks at it, if you look at the volume, you look at the price action, like I said, it looks like somebody just attacked at the moment that it was, announced. They kept attacking it while you had small amounts of dilution of 10% of the volume in their first 4 days. So, again, AMC, if you're in AMC and the dilution, I don't know where this puts us right now. I really don't. Because, like I said, I thought that giant drop was us, front-loading that, taking all that money and now getting ready to do a deal because he just talked about having to sit down with those guys. Obviously, he has a plan. I'm not saying a debt restructure can't be announced right now. They can do it plenty of ways. They can announce a restructure and then sell this, then start going back to the dilution when the price recovers and raises again. There's plenty of ways to still play it. But we all thought with that big drop, that was AMC completing the dilution. And I no longer, after seeing this, after seeing the 13 million, after doing the way that it was, done out in the first couple weeks there, that we're not done with dilution. We have not finished that capital raise. There's no way. Maybe we did it. Like I said, I just don't see it happening. So again, expect some more still throughout, this month. Like I said, it could still bounce around, but maybe he holds on, lets it recover. Just because he has the shares sitting there doesn't mean he has to dilute. The reason you dilute is because, again, you were going to offset this. You wanted to refinance. So just because he has the authorized shares worth doesn't mean he needs to dilute at these levels either. So again, this kind of throws me off whack on the plan. So I can't really give you guys another update on exactly where we are in dilution, but this does give you an idea. So we do need to see another filing or two. But again, like I said, that drop off wasn't him just front loading and getting ready for a refinance deal. But again, that doesn't mean a refinance deal can't come. We still have plenty of cash to do one. And on top of that, if they see the shares there still available to raise, you can do a refinance deal, let the price recover back up, and then go ahead and redo dilution again at $4 or $5. But again, guys, I just want everyone to know that if according to this and according to that data and according to math and volume-wise, we are not done with dilution. I really want people to stop. Don't think we are. Now, one of the things I want people to see here. I mean, does anyone have any questions here on AMC? Quick, before I go on. I feel like I need to start asking if anyone has any questions before I just move on into the next thing. Does anyone else have any questions about AMC or about anything that I went over about the does anyone not understand the percentage? 10% of volume equaled about 13 million shares. You read the filings, it went up about 13. Does everyone get it? I know, dude. The chat's always loaded with shills, buddy. People go crazy, man. People go crazy. But again, this is an update. So again, we're not finished with dilution. Let's keep going then. So there's a new lawsuit because they keep on... I've told you guys forever. The thing they're the most afraid of in the entire world is the CAT system. There's nothing they can do to get around it because they don't have access to the SEC's computer system. And this is what people don't get. Oh, bigums, there's going to be loopholes. There's going to be loopholes around the CAT system. The market makers are going to... No, actually, they're not, because every single trade that goes through is going to have to go through them. It's going to have to go and clear through their system. Even market maker trades, there's no exclusions and there's no exemptions of any activity. Even when you do market maker type exemptions, you have to put it in there, mark it as exempt, and then show where you went with that trade and everything. It's not... There's no gray area. The only gray area is going to be these derivatives, everything associated with the derivatives, flex options, all that crap that they have on the side that mirror this to count as locates, as we all know. But here's the thing. Now I want everyone to read this because the CAT reporting obligation. We're going to get into something next year in this lawsuit, and this lawsuit shows you everything. Like I said, guys, there's two reasons why they're scared of this. But number one, but let's go into this. FINRA is reminding all members, regardless of size, that receive or originate orders in NSN stocks, OTC equity securities, or listed options that may be required to report to the CAT system. All trading activities, including market-making activities, is subject to CAT reporting. There is no exclusions or exemptions of any kind. Like I said, guys, including market-making activity. There's no exclusions or exemptions of any kind for type or firm of trading. Or type of trading activity. Sorry, I lost my spot there. FINRA members are required to report to CAT and not assume they're clearing firms. So again, everything's going to need to be reported to this, even the market maker shit, which is why Citadel, Virtue, they're going right after them. They're the ones complaining about this the most because this literally exposes all of their bullshit. This exposes all of their payment for order flow, their money, their exclusions, their exemptions, their 203B, their fill before locate, and then they use an internalizer 9 years later. This is going, all right, now when you do an exemption here, there's a time and a date stamp to it. And then even if you throw it into your internalizers, we attach a venue ID to it. The entire life cycle, see right now, you guys, like I said, this is the big deal, and we're going to go through this lawsuit here in a second. So this is the big deal. This is the biggest deal about this all. Oh, it's like a sketch pad. Here you go. All right, so you got the OAT system, okay? You had the OAT system here, and this is why the American economy and the stock market got so fucked up. So you had the OAT system, okay? This is what we used to run off. This garbage system from 12,000 years ago called the OAT system, and it was mainly self-reporting, okay? So pretty much what you would do is you would have a broker, you would have your retail guy, he'd send it over to his broker, your broker would go ahead and send it on over to a market maker, or he'd send it over in the, the rarest of rare occasions, he would send it to a lit exchange, the rarest of rare. And then the market maker would go ahead and he would fill it, and it would come from the start. So it would start the trade and it would track this, okay? But the problem is then it'd go to the market maker and it was only tracked 2 times. And then it went to people who did self-reporting, okay? So basically what the SEC could see was, hey, a trade happened, and then from that point on, it was up to the market maker or the bank or, the exchange to submit that, okay? Well, okay, let me tell you this. These guys are mismarking shorts as longs. They're pushing this in this gray area. They're doing every crime known to man, okay? So now basically it's 100% up to what these guys are telling them. So basically the SEC knows a trade happens, and then it's up to them to tell them what happened after. Wonder why the system's so corrupt. Wonder why the old system didn't work. Crazy. So now you have a different system. You have the cat. This will fuck them up completely because it's completely different. You now have four what I call pings. Okay? Throughout the whole life cycle of the trade, okay? So from start to finish, there's no bullshit. It knows every single step of the way. Now, what the SEC will get, these are your columns. Okay? So what they will get, they'll get a date and time stamp. Okay? So you got your date and time. So they think about how fucked up this is. In the old system, they didn't even have date and time stamps. They just knew a trade happened. They didn't even know fucking when. And all your rules and everything really goes off all of this stuff. They said it is so fucked up how everything was before. It is insanity. So you now have, and this is the one that scares them. It's called a venue ID. Okay? Now, if you go back to this lawsuit, one of the things that this talks about, here, we'll read a little bit of this here, okay? So what this does, hold on. New lawsuit, blah, blah, blah. Where's my spot? Okay, here you go. The SEC is accused of storing and tracking data that involves trade information on every investor trades from inception to completion, okay? From start to finish. It's no longer one ping and then them telling you the rest. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So what this ping will do, now what they're saying is, this violates the Fourth Amendment. Think about what we're talking about. The regulators and the SEC, they're finally getting a system that can track every single trade, who's trading it, and when, and what happened to the trade. That should have been established since day one. Think about that. The regulators, you mean the people who regulate the market now have complete data from start to finish? Huh. Now, not only that, let's read what else it says here. According to the report, it is a trade reporting system that traces every order, traded stocks from, like I said, from routing, from execution, and if there's any modifications. So if they try to do any modifications, the SEC knows. So we'll go over the cycle here in a second. So basically, the SEC will always know the execution. It will always know the route it took. It will always know if you modify it from a short to a long. It will know the day it happened. It will know who sold it. It will know what broker sold it to what retail person. It will know what the broker did the second that it gave it to a market maker. Now, here's what else, and this is what scares them the most, you guys. This is why it will destroy them. This is why it will destroy them, and this is why I tell you guys, this is the most important thing for the SEC in the entire history of the United States. What is the number one thing the SEC says every time? We're broke. We're broke. We don't have the people that can go in there and audit them. Now, why? They don't have enough people in there that can go take 27,000 hours, go through 60 billion fucking logs and files and this and that and this and that of fake shit that Citadel will end up handing them. They don't have the time. They don't have the resources. They don't have the money. But now, read this. The class action lawsuit alleges it gives the SEC modern surveillance tools. Now listen to this. It enables mass tracking of individuals, every move. And the SEC, this is the most important, listen to this part. The SEC can do so without allocating additional time or resources to collect the desired data, which means when the CAT system goes live, it doesn't cost them a single penny to go after JP Morgan because it's already on their system.
the excuse that we can no longer go after a citadel. I can no longer afford to go after virtue. We can't afford to do all this. It's gone because it's right at their fingertips for the price of nothing. It's right there. And that scares the living shit out of all of these people because look at what this says. They can track everything I do for free. They can track any time I modify it. If there's any modifications, how do I get into my gray areas? How do I get into my loopholes? How can I do that if I can't modify the order? It says they're going to watch the route. Fuck, it's going to watch the entire route, the entire route of the entire cycle, which means I can't move it over here, then move it over here, and then reset this and push this over here, and then move this over here. Nope, there's no more any of that. And then they can see the execution from start to finish commence and finish. They see it happen for free. On top of that, they just want $200 million for people to monitor it, for people to do the auditing, because if it takes me 15 seconds to sit in an office and do it at my fingertips, 200 million can get quite a few people. That's a lot of people that are just sitting there watching. There's programs that are flagging this stuff. So that's just people sitting down, $200 million worth of people sitting down and looking at flagged transactions. This transaction's flagged. Well, there's multiple transactions from this company flagged. What's going on over here? It takes me 5 seconds to do that instead of months and months. Do you see why they're scared shitless of this system? Now, what it does, this is why there's no way. So again, what else gets tracked? You have a broker ID. Okay. You have a customer ID. So what this customer, the broker ID is obviously self-explanatory. What the customer ID is it will go into each individual broker, and each individual broker will have a customer attached to them, but it will be stored in the broker's database. Okay? So your information won't be exposed. And that's what they keep trying to say is, well, your information can get exposed. No, it can't, because your information's still stored in the exact same place it's stored now. Your name, your address, your social security, all that, it's all stored there now. But what they can do is go to the broker and say, hey, what customer is this? That's just a phone call. Hey, I have broker ID XXX. I need you to look in your database and tell me who customer XXXX is. Oh, that's blah, blah, blah. Okay, perfect. Now I know exactly what person committed this fraudulent act. But it's not stored at the SEC. It's stored at the broker. So nothing changes of information of where it's stored currently. Okay? So then, on top of that, it will have, let's say, executioner ID, your market maker ID. Okay, so let's say there's a market maker that buys it. He will have your execution ID, so they will know who took the transaction. Okay, so here's why they're scared of it. So now you have a retailer, okay? So you have me and you. You have me and you right here, and we go up, and we spend our money. We go over to a broker. Ping number 1 happens right here, okay? Ping 1 right here. It now knows AMC Bigums bought AMC exactly how much, and it has a date, it has a timestamp, it has a broker ID. So now they know exactly all of that. All right, this dude bought this on this day and it went to this broker. Okay? Now the second ping, ping number 1, ping number 2, happens right here. Okay? Now what happens here is the broker will send it to either a lit exchange, which is very rarely. They'll send it to a lit exchange, and it'll send it to a market maker. Okay? Now, what will happen here is it will attach this ID, so it'll know exactly who bought it. It'll still have the customer ID attached to that trade. The customer ID and the broker ID will go out throughout the entire life of the trade. It will now have a venue ID attached to it, okay? So I'll say, how did it get to this market maker? Did it go through a dark pool? What dark pool did it take? What was the execution route? What was the flow of it? Who got it and when? Okay, so now the SEC will now know instantly on ping number 2, it went to the market maker. Okay? Or if it went to the lit exchange, it'll know the lit exchange has it. Now, what will happen is the market maker will now, so here's ping 3. What does the market maker do with it to fill this order? How are you going to fill this order to send back to the broker? Okay, so now ping 3 will see, did you internalize the order? Did you mark it for an exclusion? So on this next one here, it'll say exemption. So on ping number 3, this is what the SEC will see. They'll see more boxes. All right, was this a market maker exemption? If so, check it. What they'll also see, I'm sorry, I forgot a category as well. Is this a long? Is this a short position? So now they can't sit there and, mismark this conveniently. They know from the second it started. Did you open it up as a short or did you open it up as a long? There's no more modifications. If there's a modification of any kind, you will have a red flag and it will show you the exact category. So now they will look over and go, all right, this is how easy it will be for me to find out if somebody's mismarking longs at the SEC. I will go over and I'll say, hey, this market maker had this, and now I have a flag in just this one category. So now I instantly know what crime is being committed. Oh, you mismarked this. You made a modification in this category. Oh, venue ID? You mean you guys tried to throw it and restart the clock somewhere? Well, guess what? You threw a flag right here in the venue ID. So now I can go to that exact trade and say, why the hell did you suddenly throw this over here? Why did you put it over here? Why didn't you go over here to fill it? At what point are you filling it? How are you filling it? Are you filling it from an exchange? So again, you'll see the execution of the execution course. Did you go to an exchange to get it? Did you internalize the order? Did you go to the CNS program? Where did you allocate those shares? Okay, so that is ping number 3. So the market maker now says, all right, here it is. This is the route I took. And now ping number 4 comes when this share is filled and it's sent back to your broker. So the second it's now back to the broker, ping 4 happens. Okay, so now what this will look for is if there's any modifications from when it goes from the start of the order to the finish from the market maker's hands back into the brokerage account. So there's no way around this. And for me as an SEC employee, to find out the crime you committed, it's a very, very, very fast process because it's broken into these categories. So these categories will get flagged. I'll pull up a trade. All of these will be green, but you'll have one red one. Well, that means since this happened at this point, there could only be so many crimes committed. And there you go. It takes seconds. You can go into a court case and you have concrete evidence. There's nothing they can say. I can literally show you step for step what you did with this trade and it costed me nothing. Now they're trying to sue the living shit out of the SEC. They're trying every single thing they can do to possibly stop this. Because again, there is no around this, you guys. I've been telling you this forever. This is the one thing. There's no loopholes around. There's no gray areas around. There's not. It does it. As you saw those 4 ping cycles. As you're listening, if you're in my chat right now, I want you to go ahead and tell me this. If you can think of something. I showed you the 4 ping cycles. How can I get around those? I'm going to give chat like 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. If you can think of a way to get around those 4 pings, let me know, because I can't. Because it's literally from start to finish. It's from the second it touches the broker's hands to the second it touches the market maker's hands to the second the market maker fills it till the second the market maker sends it back. There's at no point is there any point where you can now send it somewhere and modify it. It's a foolproof type system. Now, will the SEC act every time? No. That's going to be what we'll complain about next. You guys have the information at your fingertips, and it costs you nothing. There's no excuses. But so the CAT system should end a ton of stuff, and on top of it, tons of people don't understand. Mismarking shorts as longs is a big deal. You have one company out there. I just showed you that bank the other week. They mismarked billions of shares as shorts, as longs, but they were short. So they when they pulled it out as a short, guess what happened? It lowered the stock price, and then they marked it as long. How many of those are now locates? You should see tons and tons of better and more accurate price action, because again, it's no longer self-reporting. There's not going to have this matching shit, and if they do, it's like boom boom. They can track it live at the, like it says, zero cost to them. They can track this live. They can track it without allocating any time. It's literally right there. It changes everything for them. So this is why they're fighting tooth and fucking nail, because there's no exclusions, not even for Virtue, not even for fucking Citadel. And that's why they're literally suing them, fighting tooth and nail, whining, opening up a new lawsuit again. There's now 2 open lawsuits in just over this last couple of weeks here over this stuff. Will the CAT system be able to trace tokenized security abuse? Yes, because when you look right here, during ping number 3 here, so if they're using a crypto type locate of some sort, or if they're saying, here's the thing. When people sit there and go, well, they're not, here's the thing. I want people to understand this, because people that don't, they can't use a crypto coin. They can't use a cryptocurrency to use as a locate. No, but what they can use is the custodial share that is backed by that, can't they? Every one of these coins was supposed to be backed by these like FTX. They were supposed to be backed by stuff. They were supposed to be backed by stocks. They had supposed to have a custodial that had the stocks sitting there. They're not using the coin. They're using the share that's supposed to be attached to the coin. But they would see that, because if you look at this right here, they're going to see right here where the market maker on ping number 3 would fill that order. So they would say, hey, you filled it in this crypto exchange. That makes no sense. How could you do that? So yes, the CAT system would stop any type of locate of that type of nature. But like I said, this CAT system is a massive, massive, massive deal, you guys. It is literally something that they cannot stop. They cannot get around. It's all about, will the SEC execute every time? But it costs them nothing now. It will cost them nothing to get the information. And the SEC should have this information. How can I regulate something if I don't have the information on what I'm regulating? You can't. If you don't know what happens from the start to finish of every trade and who did it, the only people that don't want this is criminals. Why the hell would, think about this, as a retail investor, why would I give a shit if I push a buy button and I bought, let's say, 1,000 shares of AMC? Why the hell would I care if the SEC knows that? I want them to know that. I want them to know that, because then they can regulate where my shares came from. So why they're sitting there saying, well, this is to protect your information. No, it's not. It's doing exactly what I assumed was happening in the market in the first place, but it's not. It's making sure that you got my 1,000 shares that I just ordered. right then and there, and to make sure that you filled them either through a lit exchange, an internalizer, you bought them from another market maker, you did market maker to market maker transactions, whatever you had to do to get me those 1,000 shares. Now, I want the SEC to know how you did it. You're not protecting me by taking that information away from them. You're protecting just criminals. So again, they're trying to make it seem like they're on our side. They're doing this, and it's for our protection. It's for our Fourth Amendment. When no, the SEC should have had this in the first place. Now, one of the things I thought was kind of interesting here, everyone who sent those super chats, thank you. I appreciate that. Diaper money is always appreciated for Little Bigums. I always appreciate it. Thank you, my friend. If you look over here, it's pretty funny. So the wealthy are now building what we call passport portfolios. The wealthy are now building passport portfolios. This is all not at an all-time high now. Okay, so this is at an all-time high. They're taking on second, even third, even fourth citizenships in case they need to flee their home country. So you mean all these people that are committing crimes, all these people are committing crimes are now getting dual citizenships in case they, in quote, in case they need to flee their home country. What would you need to flee your home country for? Oh, is it because your fucking Ponzi scheme's about to get exposed and the entire United States is going to realize you stole trillions from us and we'll never get that back and our entire economy's fucked? So now you can get the hell out? You can now run? Ever since, like I said, COVID, the Ponzi scheme, suddenly AMC, the GME, look at boom, boom, all-time high, even an all-time higher. Just in case they need to flee their home country. Literally, why would you need to flee your home country? What the fuck? Think of how much sense that makes. I don't wake up and go, God dang it, you know what? I might need to flee my home country today. I'm not committing crimes. So I'm not sitting there going, God, I might flee this. There's something to flee about. What are you fleeing about unless you're committing crimes? So I just thought that was a very interesting thing. Russian court orders seizure of 440 million from JP Morgan. JP Morgan lost another lawsuit. We always like to just, anytime JP Morgan loses, we smile because they're the biggest criminal organization in the entire planet. So every time they lose, we win. So JP Morgan lost a case for 440 million against VTB. They got it for recovery of losses. Some more shady shit going on from JP Morgan. Now, another thing I thought that was very interesting here. JP Morgan's Bloody Friday. Several top financial advisors jump ship from JP Morgan on the same day. Now, I already showed you guys they have 1.5 trillion in exposure in the derivatives market. JP Morgan does not have, that's basically almost their entire deposits. It's like all their customer deposits. So the only reason why they're even able to hold that exposure is you guys. So again, JP Morgan's not this sound investment that they want you to believe. But one of the things that was interesting about this is you can start with 6 team members managing 15 billion in assets quit. And then they took those and joined a competitor. It says recruiters say it was the largest set of departures from a single firm in a single day. That's the worst I've ever seen. Now, this is after JP Morgan is currently under investigation they settled on 5 different counts. They're now looking at another felony crime. They're also being under investigation as they said that they're unable to name who's currently looking into them, but there's another ongoing investigation into JP Morgan as well, and it's for felony crimes. So this one will actually be going to felony court. I've been watching that. I've been waiting for more of an update. As second I find out who and what they're getting them for, I'm going to be on top of that. But once again, JP Morgan lost 15 billion there. They lost another 414 million here. You have the commercial real estate bomb. hundreds of billions in exposure there that they will lose. JP Morgan is not this dynamic fortress that they all want you to believe. Profits are going down. I told you that they peaked out and they will continuously drop and drop and drop. One of the things that's happening now in the United States, this is where we're starting to become in the fucked category. Congratulations, you guys. We have reached stagflation. You are now in stagflation, and we all know what comes after that. So if you guys go ahead, the reports came out. GDP growth actually went down to 1.6%. Now, this is something I've been warning all of you guys about, because what's going to happen? When you sit there and kill your middle class, you're taking away taxes. When you sit there and kill your middle class, you're taking away new companies, new middle class businesses that are coming up. And now guess what? Those corporations are not paying taxes. So you're gaining less and less and less and less taxes. On top of that, prices are higher because there's less and less supply out there. When you sit there and you kill off your middle class, you kill off people that create supply. This is why I tell you the government is a piece of shit, and this is why they're trash, and this is why the United States is in where they are. Instead of helping the middle class and giving them a stimulus of some kind, instead of helping people saying, all right, if you're going to do new business types or start up this, we will fund XXX to get up new companies. This is what the government should have done to fix things. Instead, because what that would do is create supply and lower prices that way. Because there's one of two ways you can do it. You can continuously raise rates and make it so it's harder and harder for people to buy, and then let the supply build up slowly over time. And once it's built back up, then you can go ahead and, lower your rates. Or you can create supply. But the reason they don't want to create supply is that will create more wealthy. And they don't want that. They like the separation between us and them. So you don't want to go ahead and keep doing stimulus checks. What you do is you do PPP loans and you give it to the giant corporations that didn't need that money, because none of it went towards paying their people anyways. So once again, instead of helping your middle class and fixing your problem and creating more supply, which would have then in return, people would have spent more money because prices were lower, which means you would have, again, collected more taxes, and you would have collected taxes again from the companies that they're spending them. But our government's too stupid to figure that out. Now, if you guys look again at core inflation, it's back to 3.7%. I told you guys last time we were at 3.5. So it's going up, it's going up, and it's going up. And there are people out there that expected them to do rate cuts even in December. Well, inflation is going to keep on raising because what's happening? They're still bailing out the banks, they're still printing, and we're still spending like we have no idea what we're doing. If you guys look over here, just to give you guys a little bit more of, of a breakdown, for those who don't understand what happened, is just 1.6%, which is less than half of Q4 2023 numbers. At the same time, core inflation rose from 2.0 to 3.7. It almost doubled. Like I said, we have a weakening economy, and now what you have is job losses. They don't want to go ahead and say the scary word because they want to keep on saying, well, jobs are great, jobs are great. But if you go ahead and look, actually, if you look at the tracked data, I showed you guys in February that was an all-time high since data was being tracked on job losses. Well, guess what? We're right back there. There's still 5 days left. We're going to break the all-time high once again in job losses. So why they sit there and lie to you and say unemployment numbers are great and blah, 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 and then revise those numbers 3 weeks later when you're not looking, saying, actually, they're down here. We lied. People are losing their jobs left and right. Again, there was more announcements laid off today. Tons and tons I saw online, which we'll get into in a little bit. So again, you have people that are now broker than hell. You have people that are losing their jobs. You have new jobs. And if I showed you guys before, where are all the new jobs coming? Government. They're coming in the government and medical field. And that's it. That's where all new job growth is going. Well, that's not a good sign. Ask the Romans what happened when all the job growth ended up going into government. Said, guys, you don't want to sit there and
the path we're going on is insanely scary. It is going to get way worse, and this is why I told you guys. Everybody sat there and goes, they can do this forever, they can print, do this. No, they can't. This is the problem, because now inflation, if they do that again, if they do what you guys think, well, they'll just turn on the printer and do this, well, okay, then you're going to have 8-9% inflation. Prices are going to skyrocket, and everything they printed will just, again, not go to the right areas to fix the problem, and it will just, again, get worse and worse and worse. So we're reaching that point now where, again, your growth is going to continuously drop and drop and drop, because more people are defaulting and more people are losing their companies, their houses. So again, what is happening is unsustainable. And our government, this is exactly what I told you was going to start to happen. Our GDP was going to just start to crush. Inflation was going to go up. There was no avoiding this. They're going to sit there and try and say whatever they can. And what's happening? Oh, well, what's happening is you're hiring these people, but they're hiring these people you're letting over through the walls at flooded rates, dude. They're hiring them at minimum fucking wage, below minimum wage, anything to keep your numbers up. Like I said, and then it's all revised. It is such a joke out there. But at the same time, once again, inflation skyrocketing, and here you go, as your consumer price index is at an all-time high, and as you can see, we are jumping rapidly. On top of that, you guys see what's going on with oil, gas, continuously make things more and more expensive. But we're basically about to enter the big scary R word. We're in one. They just still won't admit the fact that we're in one, because they're going to keep on trying to lie to you guys about job numbers. But again, we will break an all-time high for job losses this quarter. Now moving back on. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah, the 3.7 is even a lie, man. Inflation's way higher than that. They do whatever they can do to modify, change, fix this. Then they'll probably revise it later and add it higher. Like I said, it's so ridiculous at this point. But anyone have any questions at all? I'm not seeing any questions, and if not, I'm going to keep moving forward. But yeah, does anyone have any questions on the economy? Anything going on with that? GDP, does anyone not understand any of that? All right, we're moving on then. All right, but again, talking about GDP, talking about the economy and everything, well, this is what I'm saying. They can't keep on pushing this all under the rug. They can't keep sweeping this under the rug, because as you guys are seeing, for the average person, it's getting harder and harder and harder to hide. It's getting harder for us to live. We'll get into something here in a second, but it is just, everything is reaching a boiling point. You're reaching numbers that are all breaking 2008 levels. You're breaking things that we haven't seen in over 70 years. We'll get into this in a second here. The percentage of companies that have defaulted on their debt more than once has reached its second highest level since 2008. Again, you have all of these companies defaulting. None of us can spend anything. Everybody's savings are gone, and what is everybody relying on? Credit cards and buy now, pay later. What did I tell you guys about the buy now, pay later? There was another long play that you guys could potentially do with Affirm, because again, Affirm is a Ponzi scheme, and they know they are, and they're a company that everyone's just going to sit there and default on because it does not hurt their credit. Like I said, everybody wants people to cut rates and give people more access and more access to lending and credit. But the thing is you can't. Nobody. I already showed you the percentage of people that are now rated subprime was like 48% of United States. It's an insane level. Everybody's credit is pretty much shot, because everybody got all these credit cards, maxed them out, and now nobody's even paying those. People are looking over and saying, I literally know the American dream of owning a house is gone. The economy, you have people talking about first, what was it, quintillionaires or whatever the hell's after a trillionaire. That shouldn't even be a thing. If there's a quintillionaire or whatever the hell, what did that one guy do that's worth more than every other person? What can a $1 do? Like I said, this shit is just, or trillionaires, this shit is ridiculous, dude. we need to sit here, like I said, the big R word needs to start to come up here a little bit more, because at some point, what the fuck is happening? They're destroying everything, and all they're saying, the feds are saying, well, there'll be a soft landing. You guys can go ahead in 30 years and tell us if we did the right thing. Well, of course you didn't do the right thing. You've destroyed everyone now to align your pockets and your rich friends' pockets, and that's all you've done. Now you're going to see a lot of problems here, because this is one of the things I was talking about with everybody with the mortgage real estate problem here. Housing defaults have now reached the highest level in a decade. Defaults, as you guys have, I've shown you guys forever, these things are going to keep skyrocketing and skyrocketing and skyrocketing. But here's the problem. These people that are defaulting and losing these loans, it's just crushing the banks. It's going to crush that person, but it's not crushing the price of the house. Why? Because the loan that they're defaulting on was taken out at an all-time high. The price of the house was fucking $495,000. So when these guys are defaulting, or if people are trying to do a quick sell before they default, they got to pay off their loan. These banks got to relist this at near price so they don't take another massive loss. Do you see what I mean? So people are defaulting, but the prices aren't going up because the inventory was bought in too fucking high. It was bought in too expensively. Right now, the average sale for a house in the United States, I just looked before this, it's $495,000. So these houses that are defaulting are almost $500,000. Inventory is going up, but the problem is the inventory that usually lowers the price is locked in at 2 to 5%. Now, if I'm locked in at 2 to 5% and I have a house that's like 300, 350, I'm going to ask for 400,000 because the amount extra I'm going to have to pay just from the rate increase alone, you're going to need to overprice your house to make up the difference. So now the people that would have lowered the price are actually selling above ask. They're selling higher. And I just showed you guys what was the other problem happening in the housing market a month ago. People are doing multiple bids on houses. So let's say there's a house listed for $300,000. They're running it up to $330,000, $340,000 because they're still saying $340,000 is still less than these $500,000, $400,000 houses that I can buy. And that's the problem. So now you haven't, like I said, you have all these defaults, you have supply raising, but price is not lowering because again, it's the wrong type of house. Well, they already showed you they're not building new houses. So you're basically having a housing crisis in the United States that's stuck. And it's not moving anytime soon. And you're going to keep seeing defaults, and these banks are going to keep taking hits. And the problem for these banks that I was showing you is they're going to take hits on houses that they can't go ahead and resell right away. They're going to take a hit on a $500,000 house, and then they're going to look over and go, well, what do I do now? I have to relist it at $500,000. Nobody can buy it, and now it'll sit there. So you see this problem also for these banks on the retail and the mortgage side that's building up and building up and building up. Well, the other problem here is you have the United States. Well, before I even get into all that, I kind of skipped that. 1 second here. Yeah, right here. The average home price in the United States is $495,100. By comparison, the median U.S. price in June of 2023 was $426,000. So as you guys can see, it skyrocketed up almost 60 grand. Almost 70 grand, I mean. So all that's defaulting, all that's adding to the supply is shit that no one can afford. So again, you're going to have your commercial real estate's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And if you guys actually, before I get back into this stuff here, I'll just move this down because we do got to get to that. That is important. So now if you guys look at what's happening, so you guys, you're not seeing the price move. You're not going to see the price move. Well, I told you guys the problem that's going to happen next for the United States is you're going to have a rate hike. You're not going to have a rate cut. It will be a rate hike. Well, if you look now, I showed everybody yesterday. Yesterday in Minnesota, if you look at the loan amount of $400,000, 15% down, an average credit score is 700 to 719. You're looking at 8%. You're looking at 8%. And who can do 15% of, so you're more looking at like 10% down. So on $500,000 loan with a 10% down, credit scoring around 700, you're looking at 7.85%. So it's just skyrocketed back. Well, I told you guys you're going to see 8% here soon. Mortgage rates likely to hit 8% in months. According to the new data from Freddie Mac, 30-year mortgage rates have once again risen above 7%. As I just showed you, a mortgage calculator right now. You can go ahead, if you guys want to just do mortgage rate, you can go down to the calculator, click whatever state you want, and whatever state you live in. And it'll change it. See, if you look at Florida, that exact thing's a lot more expensive than over here in Minnesota. That's the thing. I mean, depending on your state, it's going to be more expensive, higher. But that Minnesota is just where I live, so... But again, you're going to start seeing 8% in mortgages. Well, even if they do lower it 20, 30%, well, when rates hit 8% next year, it doesn't matter. Your mortgage payment's the same fucking thing. So no one's going to qualify because you're still going to have the same exact credit crunch that you're currently in right now. So... Like I said, if you're an American right now, it's like as scary as it is. It's almost like the sooner to get in one, the better if you can, because it's like it's almost going to be fucking impossible here soon. But at the same point, it's like eventually they got to do rate cuts next year, you would think. But it's like the state of the economy is getting worse without them. So when are they ever going to be able to rate cut? Will we ever see 5% again? Will you ever see 6% again? Will you ever see 7%? I don't know. I really don't know if you'll ever see 5% again. You'll never see 2% again. And that's the problem, is those people that are at 2, 3, 4, 5%, you're never going to sell your fucking house. There's no reason to. Ever. So meanwhile, while all that is happening, U.S. subprime on auto loans, which is what I told you guys would start watching, cars, are now as rose above 4%. So you're basically back to 2008 levels. You haven't seen this level since 2008. 60-day delinquencies are now at 4%, doubling in 3 years. And this is what I told you guys. First thing everyone's going to do is lose their car, and then they're going to lose their job, and then they're going to lose their house. And it's going to be in that order, because you're going to pay your first house payment. You're going to be like, maybe I can just take a bus, or maybe I can get something closer. Like I said, the recession is coming. It's already here. Stagflation, you're in it right now. It's just they've been fudging data. It's all coming. A crash is coming, and a massive correction is coming. Like I've been telling people forever. Land, gold, commodities, things that are physical, not physical gold. It's coming, guys. I'm not going to sit there and say I don't have gold. I have gold, so I can't sit there and be like, oh my God, I don't have gold. I mean, it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do. It has nothing to do with me personally. It has everything to do with common sense at this point. The fiat currency is getting destroyed. The government is destroying our economy in every way, shape, or form. It's to the point where they can't even control it. Everyone is fucking broke. It's only a matter of time, and this is what I'm saying. A long time ago, I said that we're either going to get to a point where they just say, all right, fuck it. We're going to just keep fudging numbers so much to where it's unsavable and just let it explode. And at that, I mean, that's literally looking like the route that's happening right now. Like I said, this is insanity. But everything's back to 2008 levels, to where it's like, all right, this is when it cooked last and exploded. Well, guess what? You're in that level, and I just showed you about 3 different categories. Everything's at an all-time low and all-time high, and meanwhile, look at what is happening. This is why this is all happening right in front of your eyes. Government spending. If you look at government spending right here, you can take all of World War I spending, all of World War II spending,
The 30 years of deficit spending, and if you add them all together, you still don't get as much as we're spending currently. Our government spending is ridiculous. And on what? Because it's not the country getting better. What are you spending money on? Oh, you're spending money to the sum of 1.1 trillion on just interest on your own debt because you can't stop paying and spending money on nothing. Nothing to help your citizens. If you add, again, all the spending of World War I, II, and the 30-year deficit spending, we still don't equal what we equal today. Now, everybody will look at, well, yeah, it was worse in 2020. Well, yeah, COVID came out and we printed $6 trillion and spent and spent and spent. We're not trying to get to that by just naturally spending what we spend on COVID, but we're getting there. This is a huge fucking deal, dude. This is why, like I said, the entire economy's fucked. This is why treasury rates are going to go up. This is why people are going to leave the banks. This is why banks are going to collapse, because they're getting less and less necessary for the environment that the United States is becoming. Now, just to put this into perspective for you, the federal government has added 11 trillion in debt in 4 years. In 4 years, we added 11 trillion in debt. In comparison, it took 220 years from 1789 to 2009 for the debt to reach 11 trillion. But we went ahead and did that in 4 years. Now people will be like, well, COVID, yeah, because obviously we need to clearly spend $6 trillion on COVID. Wait, 4 trillion of it went somewhere else? 4 trillion went to funneling out of money, out of this, out of making this person rich, into the stock market to make these guys rich. Didn't go into the economy. Didn't go into anything. It went into them making themselves rich. Like I showed you last week, they took 6 million from printing and turned it into 10 million in the stock market. Good job. It's the Cantillon effect. Cantillon effect. Sorry, it's the Cantillon effect. We went over that last time. It is the people that are at the top of the freshly printed money. They get the freshly printed money, and guess what? They go out and they buy commodities, and by the time that money reaches you, the commodities already rose through inflation, and by the time you get to spend that money, it's worth less than what is printed on the check, but they got the full value and then some. So again, you guys, this was all about making them richer and you poor. Home buying conditions have fallen off a cliff. Current levels have never been seen in the last 60 years. It is the worst home buying time in the history of the United States. That is insanity. That is insanity. This is the worst time in the history ever to buy a house. What did I tell you guys everybody would start to do when they figured all this out? If you guys can look at this chart, look at that spike. Look at that spike. There's no reason to be in a bank. Why would you collect 1, 2, 0.0% when you can come on over here, when there's, you can go to gold. There's plenty of places to go to get the fuck out of a bank to make nothing. Especially when inflation's fucking destroying you on the other end. Well, look at retail's money market funds. Look at where everyone's going. Is that where I told you guys people would run to? Money market funds. Everybody is running there. Everyone is running to the higher rates. Everyone's running to what they think is safe. Well, again, guys, get the hell out of your banks. Follow the money. I believe people like to say that quote for a reason. Follow the money. Follow the money, my friends. Now, households have officially run out of excess savings. The current levels are worse than they've been in the last 5 years. People have less money now than they do when COVID happened. People have less money now from the entire time of COVID. Everybody is now officially broke. And at the same time, we have almost 1.1 trillion in credit card debt. You've literally destroyed your economy to where you cannot give out any rate cuts because you can't give out easier credit because everybody's already over-exaggerated. Nobody has assets. And everybody's, like I showed you, is now subprime lenders. They're all subprime. Like I said, this shit is so fucked up right now. I honestly don't know how we're going to fix this stuff. But once again, everybody is running out and everybody's living off credit cards. We are worse off now than we were from COVID. Once again, this is why, if you guys missed before, the reason why they want the CAT system is it costs nothing for the SEC to get that information. If you missed that, I highly recommend going over that one more time. The interest on the United States annual expense has now passed 1.1 trillion. To put that in perspective, less than 3 years ago, the annual interest was 450 billion. Almost tripled in 3 years. That's a 144% jump as total U.S. debt has surged over 11 trillion since 2020. Even in 2008, at the peak of the financial crisis, annual interest was just 450 billion. Like I said, guys, the era of free money, the era of low rates, the era of all of that is coming to an end. So with that, there's things you should do to act to save yourself, to put yourself in a lot better position for this. There is a correction coming. I'm going to call it a correction, but it's coming hard and it's coming soon. And on top of that, you will have a banking crisis and a commercial real estate crisis happening at the same time. Big banks face probe over NDAs, swaps, clearing businesses. Listen to this. The CFT is now reaching out to banks, including JP Morgan, Bank of America, and Citigroup, to see if they have been preventing would-be whistleblowers from speaking out. Of course they are. Of course they are. So now they're asking them for all their swaps, their NDAs, all of this type of information. And right as they're asking for all of that, they're now, FTC announces a rule banning on non-competes. FTC rules will generate over 8,500 new businesses a year. It will raise workers' wages. It will lower healthcare costs, and it will boost innovation. Why? Because now you can have more people. If you get fired or you do any of these things, you can now go over to other companies right away. There's no more waiting. There's no more, I can't sit in this industry, which leads to more innovation because more people are working. You have more competition. It leads to better prices because you, again, have competition. You have more supply. You have more places that provide these things. These NDAs were out of fucking control, or these non-competes were fucking out of control. They were a complete joke. They were destroying the country. Seriously, they've been a joke forever. And like I said, this is a big ruling, big thing for retail. And once again, this is something they have to do because, like I was telling you guys, they got to get business growing. They got to get these guys making capital again because we're not making enough taxes, and it's going to get worse, and our GDP is going to keep getting worse and worse and worse. So next time, guys, I'm going to get going here. Next time I have all this set up. I'm going to go over the proposals for the meeting. I got a couple other things that I want to show you guys. I was doing some DD on the exposure for those banks, on the total derivatives exposure. Wait until I show you guys the total number. It's fucking ridiculous. And that's all the time I have for today, though. But thank you guys for listening. Hope you all guys all have a good weekend. But once again, if you're looking for an AMC update, we are not done with dilution. Once again, if you didn't see the beginning of this video, watch the first 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. There's tons of information there on AMC and the dilution, though. So thank you guys for listening, and have a good day.